I just spent $40,000 in construction documents in order to submit for building permit for my shipping container home here in Washington. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down each of the individual costs that went into that $40,000. You're going to want to stick around to the end of the video where I explain a $10,000 mistake that I made when going in for building permit. Yeah, I feel alive. Get ready. Tonight's the night. If you guys are interested in this kind of content and just me documenting this whole Airbnb build process, it would mean a ton to me if you hit the like button down below, subscribing to the channel and sharing this out to more people. Every subscriber makes my dream of being a full-time YouTuber one step closer. For now, to the 565 of you, I love you tons, and let's dive into this. The first big expense I had was for $4,800, and that was my architectural set of drawings. The architectural drawings are pretty much a layout of what you want your home to look like. That's where I worked with the designer to say, hey, I want the 3 shipping containers on the bottom. I want the 2 sticking out over the top so the master bedroom hangs out over this beautiful forest, which, by the way, I'm standing on site, like where the home will actually be. Like I think this will be the toilet right here. It's kind of cool. I worked with a firm out of Portland who actually had both an architectural side to the firm as well as a structural engineering side of the firm. So the same company was able to do both my architecturals and my structurals, which was really helpful because as I would have design consultation calls, architect is able to just bounce over to the structural engineering side of their office and say, hey, is this actually feasible? If not, it just sort of helped to streamline the overall process. Oh my goodness, I'm so cold. Drop a like because I'm out here grinding for you guys. Now that the architectural drawings were underway, I was able to focus on the site. So I'll go jump over to my next big expense. Critical area study is a review of any potential wetlands or steep slopes that you have on site. The county just wants to make sure that you're not going to be building your home in wetlands where there's either like protected plants or wildlife, or on steep slopes that over time could like erode, or maybe this is like rivers that could erode the front of your land or something like that. So my critical area study cost me $3,925, and what that entails is a review of the whole site, sort of identifying any steep slopes or wetlands on site. In the case here at the bin, we have some wetlands. So when I got the report back, I found out that I had to be 110 feet away from this wetland here. Which pretty much the Pacific bin it's like 130 feet that way. So I'm just outside the buffer. If you're looking to buy property and build some kind of unique home on it, or just a home in general, you're gonna wanna make sure that you understand critical areas. On the note of critical area studies, if you're looking to purchase a piece of property and build some kind of unique home, or just a home in general, you're gonna wanna make sure that you understand critical areas. This was something that I almost got screwed on. If I would have purchased a lot further out towards the mountains, I wouldn't have been able to build on that lot. So one more note, when you're trying to find an engineering firm to do the critical area study, you want to make sure that they not only provide you with a study on what can be performed on your land, but they also need to provide you with a site plan that sort of lays out exactly where the wetlands are, what your buffers are, and also shows your proposed home location, the well, and the septic. Okay, let's go jump into the septic. I'm just realizing that I said, let's go jump into the septic. That's gross. My third big expense was my septic design, and that cost me $3,090. Every county requires that your home be hooked up to like a waste treatment method, whether that's a city provided like sewage system. Here at the bin, we're located in unincorporated Sultan, Washington, so there is no city sewer, so that means that I needed to design a septic system. Well, this is where my septic system's gonna be. And one thing that I learned going through this process is that your septic designer also determines where your well is located, because your well has to be located 100 feet away from your septic drain field, as your septic drain field is where all of your wastewater goes and drains and gets filtered through the earth. So you just have to make sure that your well is 100 feet away so that you don't have any sort of like cross-contamination of your drinking water being pumped up, also being your poopy water. It's gross. So what the septic study includes is a proposed site plan. So based off your critical area site plan, they're able to say, here's everywhere on the property where we can put a septic system. So the septic design firm will come on site with a little excavator and dig up a whole bunch of holes, like this one, and this one, and this one. The septic designer is pretty much just making sure that your soil is suitable for a septic system. So once the septic design had been completed and the well location was established, the designer then submits that to the health department, and the health department sends me a nice $923 invoice to pay to officially kick off that 17 to 18 week review period. Coming in at a whopping $6,270 are my environmental engineering fees. So what that entailed is pretty much a land disturbing activity permit and the study associated with that. So in my case, developing a completely undisturbed piece of land, I'm gonna have surfaces where water isn't easily able to flow through like it normally would if it were just untouched forest like all of it is right now. So the environmental engineer pretty much comes up with certain drainage plans on where all the water that's collected on the roof has to drain off to, as well as the driveway. So one thing that I had to keep in mind is that there's certain thresholds to drainage plans when you're designing homes. There's a block from 0 to 5,000 square feet where you don't have to file a drainage plan. You just say, hey, like my home is barely covering any of this site. It doesn't affect any drainage plans. But in my case, I'm gonna be covering about 7,000 square feet of this property with impervious surfaces, which, keep this in mind if you're doing this yourself, rock driveways like this, like I'm just planning on having a completely rock driveway, are considered impervious systems, which I thought was kind of ridiculous because I figured water could just drain through a rock driveway like it would in a normal forest. But Snohomish County says that rock driveways are impervious systems. So you're gonna wanna keep that in mind if you're designing a home. So that $6,270 covered my land disturbing activity permit, my site plan. So that's the formal site plan that shows exactly where everything is located on the site, where the wetland buffers are, where the septic system goes, where the well goes, as well as their drainage plans. So I have a couple of drainage trenches throughout the site where all like the roof water will drain to, and it also included the drainage plan itself. So at this point in the process, I was about 8 weeks in. I had all those other studies being worked up by all the engineering firms. The architectural drawings had been pretty much finalized. I was able to jump into my next big expense, was for another $4,800 for the structural engineering drawings. So what the structural engineering plans do is they take your architectural set and they build out all the structure needed to comply with all the building codes. That engineering firm I was talking about that did my architectural set also did my structural calcs for those drawings. So they'll not only provide calculations on all those drawings, but they'll also provide you with the actual design showing you what beams go where, how to install them, how thick your welds need to be, and just sort of build out the structure overall. So your structural drawings are what the county focuses on the most when you're going in for building permit. The county wants to ensure that this house isn't going to fall down over time, that it's structurally sound, that it's safe for people to live in, and it'll be able to support snow loads, rain loads, and that the foundation isn't going to wash out if we have like some crazy flood or something like that. All right, on to my 8th expense. We're gonna hurry this up because I'm freezing my butt off. So my 8th expense was for clearing of the site. So far, clearing of the site has cost me about $3,000. That cost pretty much entails 1 day of renting a Bobcat to take away that berm. You remember where I smashed my bumper in my car from the last video? So it's taking out that berm, dropping some of the big trees here. It included chainsaw rentals, like buying dozens of chainsaw blades, as well as buying lunch for all my friends and family who have come out here to help me clear this site. But it's really cool seeing it start to come together and at least be able to see where the site is. Like you can see behind me, we have a giant brush pile tarped because next weekend we're gonna be doing another huge clearing day. But yeah, that was my 8th expense for $3,000. I wanted to do a lot of that myself because even just talking to a couple people who know what the cost of clearing costs, they have estimated this would cost around $10,000 to $20,000 to do, hiring a company out. So I wanted to do it myself. I figure I'm capable. I've got all kinds of awesome friends and family, so I figured I'd just go for it. All right guys, here it is, my $10,000 mistake. Well, actually it was a $9,200 mistake that I could have saved if I knew this in advance, but you do not need an official site survey to submit for building permit or even to like begin construction at all. For some reason, I was under the impression that you have to have all your property boundaries staked out to submit for building permit, but you don't. I found out after the fact, after talking to a couple more people at engineering firms, and you don't need them to submit for building permit. But you go, Devin, well, you need to know where your property boundaries are if you're actually gonna locate where your home goes, where everything else goes on site, right? And you're exactly right, but it doesn't need to be down to like the inch like what a professional survey will give you. It's literally, this hack will save you $10,000. So if you take your phone, you download Google Maps and you zoom way in on the map, you'll be able to see all the boundaries of your property. And if you just get within a couple feet, it's close enough. For example, the company that came out and staked out where the actual property boundaries are, like 1 or 2 feet plus or minus of where we were laying the stakes based off of Google Maps. So the counties don't require official surveys. And if you have Google Maps and it shows the parcel boundary, just do that. It'll save you so much money, and I'm realizing now that was completely unnecessary for me to have spent that. So there is one more fee when going in for building permit, and that's actually paying the county their fee to review all these documents you put together. And in my case, it's about $2,200 in permit fees, and that's based off of a calculation of the square footage of your home versus this multiplier that they have. In my case, it's 1,600 square feet times $148 a square foot. That's their cost of them to review it, which the permit fees are based off of your square footage. So they're saying that my 1,600 square foot container home times $148 per square foot, the home valued at $237,000. And if you like go look up a chart of the home value, it then gives you a permit fee, which my permit fee is $2,200. And then the plan review fee, which is another $1,400. So far, going in for building permit has cost me $39,669.35. So if you guys found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate a like down below, or if you have comments or think I said something incorrectly, definitely let me know. I respond to everyone. And yeah, I'm just really excited to take you guys on this journey. It's gonna be really cool, and hopefully you guys, if you're doing this yourself, don't make the same mistakes I do. But I'm gonna go warm up because I'm freezing my freaking butt off. Go like the video.